And we're coming to you live from the Build Forward Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti is Boomer and Gio on the Fan, simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. A couple more losses for the Jets and Giants as we take a look at what's going to happen with that first overall pick. There wasn't a ton in those games that was meaningful. I do think, though, that the Jets defense, yes, they traded away two big players off that defense, but that is an issue. I don't know if it's scheme-wise. I don't know if we're going to blame Steve Wilks or Aaron Glenn, but it's the most embarrassing defense in the NFL right now. Really thought the Giants were going to win this game. They didn't. Was disappointing to see them lose to a bad Commanders team. But there were some really big stories in the NFL that I think we're going to spend more time on, including, unfortunately, huge injuries to Patrick Mahomes and Micah Parsons and the Buffalo Bills, who make that, to me, that was the biggest story. Some other huge stories. I think the Ravens sent a message. I think the Vikings last night are shocked the Dallas Cowboys, who still were hanging on. But the Buffalo Bills were the biggest story, and Josh Allen coming back from 21 down on the road. Just amazing stuff. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I'm doing good. And I kind of think that, the Rams are still the best team.
Yeah, they were great, too. Yep.
That was a great game yesterday. Obviously, they give up a lot of points, but they score a lot of points and over 500 yards of total offense in back-to-back games. And they have just a good enough defense to basically hold down somebody late in the game if it's one of those four-down territory things that have basically taken over the league now offensively. But, the Giants have a stranglehold on number one. The Jets moved up 2 spots in the draft to number 5 now. Maybe they are the worst team in the league. I don't know.
Raiders, right?
The
Giants play the Raiders,
right? So it's going to be interesting here, obviously, as it always is the last 3 weeks of the season. But Jackson Dart had an awful first half. It was like, who is this guy playing? But he came back. He played well in the second half and played better, more competitive. There was no question about that. Number of drop passes again for him. And I mean, if you're a Giant fan and you go to that game, you are tried and true. You are a 100% Giant fan to sit through that weather and watch that game, especially the first half of that game, which was just absolutely abysmal from the Giants' perspective. And we always talk about how the NFL is a week-to-week league. Now, we often talk about that in terms of winning and losing for the teams themselves. But it also goes for the coaches and the general managers. How does the team look when the team is finishing the season? Is it finishing strong? Are the key players that you drafted having an impact? Now, I will say Abdul Carter had an impact yesterday, so that was good.
Yeah, a big impact. This wasn't even close. This was his best game in his career by a mile, and I was really happy to see that. And they were talking about it on the broadcast about how, the new defensive coordinator and him had the best week of practice, and he was talking about how great the practice week was and how that translated, and that is a really big sign going forward. I believe that Joe Shane's story has been written as the Giants GM. I would be shocked if he still stayed here. He's probably loving the fact that Abdul Carter had a game like this. But, man, was that good to see from a Giants perspective. I mean, this guy really looked like a football player for the first time all year.
Yeah, but the problem is the overall product
is horrible. It's been horrible.
Looks bad. And the more it looks like this, the more it reflects poorly on the general manager and his staff. But, like you said, and I do believe that the Abdul Carter performance had like written all over it. You know what I mean? They were relieved to see something like that. The other thing that happened yesterday in the NFL, I thought that Bo Nix played his best game as a pro. And, that game between they and the Packers, that was another great game.
It really was.
And I also think that Philip Rivers deserves a Medal of Honor for going out there and lasted for 4 quarters, and he had his team on the precipice of a win.
Yeah, so I watched a ton of that game. I focused in on that because, to me, that storyline was unbelievable. And I thought the Seahawks were going to roll them, and I was wrong about that. But really, Shane Steichen and Phillip Rivers and that offense came up with the perfect game plan to keep their team in the game. And the Indianapolis Colts defense deserves a nod, too, because they were unbelievable in this football game. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba still got like 7 for 117, and they still didn't score a touchdown, the Seattle Seahawks. But what they were trying to do was run the football, have these short routes that Phillip can throw, and he hung in there, and they did everything they needed to do. They
left just too much time on the clock. That's it.
And also, I mean, they needed to get into the end zone as well. I mean, neither one of these teams, Phillip Rivers got into the end zone the one time, but the Seahawks didn't. They just needed one more play, the Indianapolis Colts, to score. But this is about as good as they could have possibly imagined in this game, where they were a 13.5-point underdog.
So it's everybody steps up situation without question. They supported the 44-year-old quarterback. But there's also another part of this story that, and I believe that it is very accurate. So I'm assuming and this does not impact me in any way because I retired back in 97. But the guys that retired now, they end up having 5 years of benefits, insurance benefits for their families, 5 years after they retire, if they're vested, okay? So it just so happens that those 5 years are up right now for Phillip Rivers. But guess what just started again?
Oh, wow.
The benefits for Phillip's family for the next 5 years.
Wow.
All you had to do is take one snap at a game, and now all of a sudden, your 10 children. I think it's 10, right? Is it 10 or 11?
Yeah.
Anybody?
I know he's made enough money to pay out of pocket for it, but still, that's amazing.
That's a part of the story. I mean, like now, all of a sudden, we're back on the free health care plan.
Yeah.
For the NFL and my 10 children. Now, I'm not. I think they're all under 26. I think. They have to be. And, so they get 5 more years of health insurance now, and he's out there getting his brains beaten.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of plays that were dicey, but he still protected himself really, really well.
He got hit in the chest a couple times. Yeah. It was pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
But, he got rid of the ball quickly, just like we thought he was going to. He had a couple long passes down the sideline, a couple that were misread by his running back, but another couple that, he backed that back shoulder throw to Alec Pierce at the end there to put them in field goal range, man, that was vintage Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact to 1 week, but I definitely, looking at what the Rams did and the 49ers did, and then watching the Seahawks barely get by the Indianapolis Colts with a 44-year-old quarterback who hasn't played in 5 years at home, I really took a look at that NFC West and felt differently about teams that could win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl out of that division, and I am now eliminating Seattle out of that conversation.
Well,
I am.
Let's just hope that Sam Darnold doesn't have happened to him this year what happened to him last year.
He wasn't very good yesterday. I mean, they couldn't score a touchdown. I mean, it was unbelievable how they couldn't get in the end zone. And then twice in the fourth quarter, they get into the red zone, and they just can't get in the end zone. It was sort of like the Dallas Cowboys last night in the third quarter where they get down, they got the Vikings on the ropes, and, twice they have to settle for field goals, which ultimately sunk them in the end. It was the same thing here. I mean, they very easily could have lost that football game, the Seattle Seahawks. But, Mike McDonald, he ends up taking those 3 timeouts. He saves the time. They get down the field very quickly. Sam did that. You got to give him a tip of a cap there and gets him in field goal range to win the game. But, I mean, you see, I understand that the 49ers are playing the Titans and they roll. I mean, that's just a given. But, I mean, the Rams are as good as it gets. I know Devontae Adams, I guess there was a hamstring issue.
Hamstring, yes.
Yeah, but then I don't know. I guess Sean McVay said that he could still play coming up on, I guess they're playing Thursday night. So I don't know if it was a cramp or what, but that is that's a big one there with the season he's had. And obviously, how much Puka Nacua benefits from Devontae Adams being on the field as well.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is that the Bears, just absolutely crushed the Browns in 0-degree weather, and now they are the number 2 seed. So they went from the number 1 seed to the number 7 seed, from the number 7 seed to the 2 seed. The Green Bay Packers went from the 2 seed to the number 7 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's going on.
And they still play each other.
And they still have to play each other. So, the NFL is getting what it wants. The only thing that, they would like to have would be Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, in the playoffs, and neither one of them is going to be. And the Bengals, to me, were like the biggest embarrassment yesterday.
Yeah.
They played like Joe Burrow's Wednesday press conference.
I couldn't have said it better, honestly. And they were 2 of my picks. I really thought that they were going to bounce back. I believed in in Joe Burrow and that team too much. Like, I've lost too many picks and bets on those guys because I believed in them too much, and I really thought that they were going to play well, especially the way that the Ravens had been playing. I'm thinking home game, and then, he hits that, as an emotional thing. He's going to come out. He's going to throw the ball great, just like he did in Buffalo. They were awful, absolutely. And I know T. Higgins wasn't there. It doesn't matter. The way that the Ravens had been on life support the entire year, I really thought that the Bengals would beat them. I thought that they were a 2.5-point underdog at home against a team that hadn't even found themselves yet and couldn't score. I mean, so if Joe Burrow wasn't having fun prior to Sunday, he certainly wasn't having fun after Sunday. And you're right. I mean, it was the whole team. This is why, like, the quarterbacks, the heartbeat of the team, and all these things you talk 100%. About. I thought he was going to bounce back from that and be the leader and the guy he is. Boy, did I have that wrong. He took that whole melancholy bull crap right into Sunday and infected his team with it.
He did.
Terrible.
He did. And like I was saying last week, I don't think that we would have seen Joe Burrow do that press conference the way he did it had they hung on to beat Buffalo in Buffalo the weekend before.
Yeah.
And, obviously they come off of a terrible loss. He throws those back-to-back interceptions and then has this come-to-Jesus moment in front of the press on Wednesday, which was bizarre to say the least, and then comes out and the entire team, the entire stadium, reflected his mood. It's like one of the weirdest things I've seen this year.
Yeah, I mean, and I was thinking the same thing, that he brought all that right into Sunday and didn't bounce back, which is surprising to me because the guy is – he's a champion in college. He's an AFC champion. He made it to the Super Bowl. I just really believed in that guy, that he was going to, look back at that and be like, all right, you know what? I had a bad day. I'm going to come out. It's Baltimore at home. How could I not get fired up for this? Yeah, it was bad. And to get shut out with that offense, how good they are. I mean, shut out?
Yes.
What?
It's the first time that Joe Burrow-led team has been shut out since he played a game at Alabama. And by the way, when you think about other teams and other games that played, like Josh Allen stepped up, but their defense played great in the second half against the Patriots, and it was a little bit of a learning experience for Drake May.
Yeah,
I mean, they're fine. That they still lead the division. I think they're going to do well here at the end of the season. But if there were ever a teaching moment for Mike Vrabel, yesterday's second half would be that.
Yeah, and also, there was also some very good moments for him in the first half, and then, everybody was basically kissing his ass after the Henderson run, the big long run, the second one, and he was out there blocking, and he was going stride for stride with him, and then all of a sudden, from that moment, sort of to the end of the game, he did get his sort of, learning. His teaching lesson, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it wasn't like a comeuppance or anything. The guy hasn't done anything wrong, but it was sort of like okay, you're not quite there yet.
You're not Tom Brady,
right? You're not quite there yet,
kid. You had a couple of moments where he could have been Tom Brady, but he's not yet. And again, Tom Brady had moments like this too up there. I mean, you gotta learn to play 4 quarters, and you got to learn to stem the momentum, and you got to get first downs. You got to keep the ball away from a sizzling Buffalo Bill offense that's now all of a sudden living off their defense in the second half. But that second half also started off with a great kickoff return by Buffalo, which put them in great field position. They went right down and scored, and you could just feel the entire momentum of the game shift right there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I also mentioned the 2 massive injuries. You get 2 guys that are out for the rest of the season and maybe parts of next season. Patrick Mahomes, this whole season where they get eliminated comes to a screeching halt with an ACL injury. And I guess you could say if it's going to happen in any season, it's a season where they're not going to make the playoffs. But I mean, it's a tough one. You hate to see it with the best players.
So I'm just trying to think, when will they go in and do the surgery? Will they wait for the swelling to go down?
They usually do, right?
They usually do for the knee. For the Achilles, they've been going in pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll wait for this. That was a weird-looking injury on Patrick Mahomes. So here we are in December. Let's say they go in and they fix it in January.
Yeah.
So you got all of January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August would be 8 months. So, I mean, you're talking about a 9-month injury, depending on how significant and severe it is, and if there's any of the ligaments involved.
Yeah, I mean, they always talked about him, with the high ankle sprain and this and that, how quick of a healer he is. I'm sure we're going to hear all of that, and he's going to try to come back for week 1. But obviously, the rehab's going to – I mean, if you miss 2 weeks, you miss 2 weeks.
17-4 in the playoffs they have been since Patrick has taken over as the starting quarterback. And I'm not saying I think they'll be back. I think he'll be back. But at this point, this is the first time in his career they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and now he's got to deal with this on top of it. And the other big one, Micah Parsons, goes down, and not confirmed yet, but everybody believes it is also an ACL. And by the way, I was laughing because this is how much the Yankees are on the mind of Chris McMonagle. He said this morning when I was driving in that Micah Parsons tore his ALCS. So, that's how much the Yankees are on his mind, buddy. Yeah, so he tore his ACL, and now,
he'll have to stop talking about the Yankees here shortly.
Yeah, I know. But,
every day for 5 hours.
Yeah. So yeah, you got that now. I mean, the Cowboys are done. They're finished, and I know that their defense had gotten a little bit better, but J.J. McCarthy of all people and the Vikings offense carved them up last night again. But you look, of course, when Micah Parsons tears his ACL, you look back on that trade just like you look back on what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts trading 2 picks for Sauce Gardner, who ends up getting hurt. Then Daniel Jones is out, and now their whole season collapsed. I mean, this is some of the risks that you take, but it is truly amazing, though, that Jerry Jones sat there and talked over and over again about he could get hurt. He could get hurt. What happens if I give him all his money and he gets hurt? And then he trades him and he has one of the biggest injuries you can have in the NFL. So I don't know if Jerry Jones is an I told you so guy. But if he wanted to, he could in private. He's not going to say that publicly now. I don't think he would do that. But in private, I could see him turn into Steven, who, by the way, do you see Steven Jones on a walkie-talkie in the booth last night?
Yes, I did.
Why has he got a walkie-talkie?
He's talking to somebody down,
I know, but
on the sideline. I'm not sure who.
That to me that's a weird one.
It's a little much.
Yes,
it's a little much.
So he's definitely talking to someone on the sidelines.
He could be talking to a trainer. He could be talking to a coach. He could be. There's anybody. He could be talking to anybody. He could have his own Big Dom down there. Whoever that person is.
Right. Yeah.
It could have something to do with security on the sideline. Who's that person? There's a million different people he could be talking to.
It still seems a little overreaching.
It does.
No?
I don't know if he's talking to Brian Schottenheimer or not.
I hope not, for
right.
God's sake.
By the way, check this out. This is a real strange coincidence. Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady both tore their ACL in their left knee in their 9th season after winning 3 Super Bowls in their first 8 seasons. And remember, Tom heard it in the first game against Kansas City.
Yeah.
And obviously, Patrick heard it yesterday, but I thought that was an interesting kind of coincidence.
Yeah.
That 2 of the greatest ever to have played have already won 3 Super Bowls that young into their career and now have to deal with an ACL.
So that means that Patrick better watch out that Brittany doesn't start doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, because then things will start really getting hairy over there in the Mahomes household.